Good evening, everybody. This is meteorologist Andrew Pinero with this latest weather update from the green screen again with this snowstorm that we're going to be having. And it's quite a tricky system to take a look at. I'm going to try and keep this as concise as possible as we go through some of the data and some of the forecast models and the National Weather Service statements that have been put out. So let's get started here. So looking right off the bat here from the National Weather Service, in the New York City area here, we got quite a bit of a mix of warnings. From the pink, we'll go worst to less worse. Pink up there, we have a winter storm warning. Then in the blue here, all of this is a winter storm watch. Now the only real difference between a winter storm warning and a watch is the warning means it's happening within 24 hours. The watch is a little bit further, maybe 36 to 48 hours. So I would expect all of this blue winter storm watch to turn into a winter storm warning 24 hours from now. So by this time tomorrow, we should be really in the heart of it. That's where I would expect all of these areas here to be converted into a winter storm warning or upgraded into a winter storm warning. And we also have some coastal flood statements all around here, because with this system, we're going to see quite a bit of wind. And with that, it's going to push the water into the coast. So we do have that to be concerned about. And right around the New York harbor there, that's where we're also seeing this coastal flood statement. Because again, once the water gets pushed up, it's kind of like at that 90-degree angle all around the entrance there really to the Hudson River. That's where we could also see some flooding, maybe even going up a little bit along the banks of the Hudson River there. So the two things I'm just going to take a quick peek at are the winter storm watch and the warning. I'm going to click on the winter storm warning there, and let's just take a brief look at it. So here, winter storm warning remains in effect from 2 p.m. Monday to 8 a.m. Wednesday. This is a long duration event that we're going to be seeing. So specifically for those areas right now in the warning, heavy snow, total accumulations of 10 to 20 inches of snow, and winds gusting as high as 40 miles per hour. That's quite a bit. This is what I was talking about. This is the one storm. I want one to 2 foot snowstorm. And that's it for the season, which we're getting late into the winter season now. So this may be the end of it. Let's see, New York, Northern Oneida, Madison. There's like a whole bunch of different areas specifically in there, and that's a bit more north outside of the Hudson Valley. Going a bit more up into Albany, which we'll take a look at in a second too. So that's the winter storm warning. Now, let's head back here, go into the winter storm watch. And now for this that's up on the screen. Still, it says heavy snow possible. Total snow accumulations of 6 to 10 inches with wind gusts as high as 40 miles per hour. So not as much snow, and the same thing with the impacts. It looks like travel could be very difficult. Hazardous conditions could impact the morning and evening commutes through that long time frame that we're still seeing from Monday evening through Tuesday evening. So it doesn't give specific times for the winter storm watch, but still this is a day to day and a half event. So even though it's not as high as snow totals for those areas, again, let me bring that back up here. Those areas in the blue there. That's because once you're a little bit more south, there's going to be a little bit warmer weather. So we're going to start as rain, maybe switching the snow, and there's this little back and forth during the day Monday. Then overnight Monday into Tuesday, it looks like it's going to be all snow. The question is for Monday, will it be more rain or will it be more snow? That's what's going to affect the 6 to 10 inches versus the 10 to 20 inch range. So let's take a look at the radar here. And on the radar, our system that we're talking about is right here. This is quite a big system. So it looks like you kind of identify the low pressure. We got that counterclockwise rotation up there. And this whole system is not really doing anything at the moment. Maybe a little sprinkle or flurry, which I did see out there coming through tonight. But that's not what we're really concerned about. It's really this system as it comes through. And it depends on exactly where it comes through, more south or more north. That's the big concern. And in terms of water vapor, so there we can kind of see the center of the low, and there's a lot of moisture throughout this entire system. So this is what's giving us the potential for this big snowstorm, because here there's no dry air anywhere in this system. We have dry air to the south going into the southern part of Florida there, going to the Caribbean, and then we have just this little bit of dry air coming in here, but this, again, is not much. The focus of this system is in very high moist areas. So it looks like it's not going to be choked off at all. All right, so jumping right into the forecast models here. So on the GFS, let's take a look through this. So again, here, nothing much happening. This is the system. So this is showing it's dipping south a little bit more. Starting, again, right around New York City as some rain before this starts to make its northerly approach. There, the temperatures start dropping, and then we got some pretty heavy snow making its way through, and it stays like that. And look how intense that is. That is 972 millibar, that low right there. So this is a pretty intense system, and just like we were talking about the last video, this intensifies as it heads out to sea, but then it turns in a little bit more towards Maine, but then it kind of ropes out there, kind of like a tornado. Not really, forget about tornado. But essentially, as it sits there, it weakens, and that roping out I mentioned about tornadoes is kind of what we're going to be seeing as this makes its way out to sea, but not much weakening. Anyway, that's what the GFS is showing, and it looked like the GFS was a little bit warmer than some of the other forecast models. So a little bit tricky here with this site because of the weird aspect ratio this monitor I'm using is. But let's go through these. It's cut off at the bottom, and it's not just because of the green screen, it's also on my monitor because this is like a 900p monitor, so it's like sub 1080, an older one. Okay, let's go back a few frames. Right here. So this is 6Z Monday. So 6Z Monday, which is tonight at now 2 a.m. So it looks like it's just starting to move on in. And this, the Euro, is a little bit colder because it's showing right through here some mixing happening versus just all rain. And then going into New York City, probably there a little bit because we got that freezing line, looks like, excuse me, right along the area there. So Hudson Valley area, more of a mix and snow than just rain. Advance one frame here. And now this is 18Z, so 2 p.m. Warms up. Going through the day, it's going to warm up like normal. There's no weird temperature changes. So it warms up now. Looks like this entire area here is in rain, except when you get to the northern Hudson Valley going into central New York there. It looks like that's where, again, the higher snow totals could be because it's going to be more of a more of a snow event than a rain event. Advancing one more frame here. Now this is where it really starts getting intense. This is 0Z, so 8 p.m. tomorrow. We're back down to, actually, this is some pretty intense icing happening. It's like lots of sleet and freezing rain mixed in there. Right along the line there, some heavy snow too. Pockets of some more moderate rain in the darker green there. The yellows are pretty intense rain, but that's out to sea, like in the ocean at the moment. Advance one more frame there. And now as those temperatures really start to drop, because when we look at these isobars here, they're curving around this way. So when they do that curve, you're basically following this counterclockwise flow around the low pressure. So when it comes down like this, it's pulling cold air down from the north. So this is called wraparound snow. So on the back side of the system, we get cold air coming in, and that's where we're seeing a lot of heavy snow through here. Still some mixing, even going into New York City. It's transitions from pretty intense sleeting and freezing rain to pretty heavy just rain along Long Island there. One more frame advance here. And then this is now 12Z Tuesday, so 8 a.m. Tuesday. We're still kind of in the same boat here. Mixing, and now we're pretty much all snow throughout the area. Any rain is just east, just barely getting through eastern parts of like Massachusetts there, so Boston might see a little bit more rain out of this as well. Showing one more frame here. It still is lingering. It stalls, it looks like here. So that's where we're still seeing these pockets of light snow to heavy snow as the center of the low, and there's almost like a second low center developing right there. But that's the main center of the low right there, and that is just sitting in place. Advancing one more frame. Again, it's still 977 millibar, pretty still strong system. And it's still right there, still bringing in snow, and we are now at 0Z Wednesday. So this is 8 p.m. Tuesday. Going now, this is 2 a.m. Wednesday. Very breezy, high pressure gradient there. Maybe some lake effect flurries happening there. But most of this is out of the tri-state region. It's still kind of just sitting right over Boston there. And then it finally starts to make its way out going into 8 a.m. Wednesday. So very windy conditions pretty much throughout the entire picture here. And that's really what we are seeing. All right, so that's the Euro. Now, back to the good old tropical tidbits with the icon. Let's advance through this and take a look. So here it looks like it's starting as rain. A bit more in line with the GFS, and this is 9Z. So this is about 6 a.m. Starts still as rain, it's all New York City. There's really no mixing happening there. It warms up, even going into Albany and even like the New York-Canada border, there's still some rain in there. But that is a, what's the 994, so not as strong there, but there's the center of the low. And this is where the concerning part happens. So this is now 3Z, so 0Z Tuesday, still no transition happened just yet. 3Z Tuesday, pretty heavy rain through there, and then it transitions to heavy snow. And then it just sits until, let's say, 8 p.m. Tuesday. That's where this is showing on the icon model making its way out. But still very breezy conditions going into Wednesday. All right, now let's take a look at the NAM. There we go. So up on the screen is the NAM, 12-kilometer NAM specifically. And it's starting as rain. There's your kind of freezing line right about there. And this is now 13Z Monday, so go back to 12Z, more of the standard. So this is 8 a.m. Monday. So during your day on Monday, it looks like it's not cooling down as much once you get more north, but tri-state region, it really looks like it's pretty much rain until here. Here comes some bands of heavy rain turning into heavy snow, and that is 4, this is 6Z, so 2 a.m. on Tuesday. This is where the heavy snow starts coming through. And then it just sits a little bit there. The frames start jumping on the NAM once you get out a little bit more. But it doesn't move too much. It does kind of this little Fujiwara-ish effect where it kind of comes back in. And then it starts to taper off in terms of the New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania area. But the center of the low right there is still close to Boston, which is kind of concerning again, because if it's just sitting there, it's training these bands basically of snow, rain, then just looks like all snow. And then it makes its way out by, it looks like 8 a.m. here on, so there it is, making its way out. Still very breezy all around the picture there. And this is 8 a.m. Wednesday. All right. Now the 3-kilometer NAM. So let's see. All right, so this is now about 11 a.m. Monday. So it's still warm, heavy rain, and then there's that transition right there to the heavy snow. This is 3Z. This is about 11 p.m. Monday. There's the overnight. Very, very heavy snow. And it just sits there and kind of just keeps snowing as the center of the low pressure right there. Again, it just sits. And then just spins and spins in place. And this is ending at 6Z Wednesday, where we're still getting some bands of heavy rain and snow going through Boston right there. And the last one, the HRRR. Let's put this to 18Z so we get some more frames out of that. And now let's take a look. All right, so starting as rain, the mesoscale systems seem to be a bit more consistent with this. And then there we go. There's that same spot, that transition from heavy rain to heavy snow. And this is 5Z going into 6Z, so 1 to 2 a.m. It's a little bit warmer than both of the NAMs. So at this time, it's showing heavy rain and heavy snow right around the New York City, kind of just going into the outskirts there. And it doesn't really bring heavy snow too much. It shows a little bit there, but it doesn't just sit. It kind of expands, almost like a figure skater going from like arms crossed to expanding, so it slows a bit. That's kind of what it's looking like, but still that pressure gradient is still very strong, so it's still very windy conditions. And it looks like, again, it's just sitting there, and that's the end of that model. All right, so let's just very briefly go through these with snow totals. So I'm back on the GFS. Let's go to the total positive snow depth. So the GFS here for the New York City area. Let me see if I bring that up a little bit more. New York City area right about there. Again, it's not showing much because it's warmer. It's showing more rain than anything. But we have upstate New York there in the higher totals up to about 13 inches. Not the 10 to 20 that the National Weather Service was saying. Let's keep that in mind. Let's also keep in mind, a few weeks ago, we had a storm to come through, and that was what the forecast models were saying, and it didn't happen because of something called downsloping. Let's go to the Euro now, and we're going to go to winter weather. Now, I don't pay for the Plus subscription, so this is going to assume a 10 to 1 ratio on the Euro. The Euro is probably what the National Weather Service is going by more. Right there, 20 inches. Let me see if I can bring the legend over a little clearer. All right, the legend right down here. Once you get to that salmon color, I guess you would say, which is right about there, that's the 2-foot mark, so 24 inches. So this is saying 2 feet of snow right through there, and still even going down. It's quite a gradient. So it looks like New York City is in that 1 to 2 inch range. The Hudson Valley is let's say 5 to 10 inches. 5 to 10 inches right in here. And then it was going to 11, but I'm kind of just rounding there. And then we have 10 to 20 right through there. So that looks like what the National Weather Service is saying. For the icon, back to tropical tidbits from Pivotal Weather. Let's switch now to total snowfall through ratio. Cool. So this is a little less. Like what we saw before was more rain on the icon. And it's still kind of targeting upstate New York, going into like western Massachusetts and Vermont in there. And that's showing 12, it looks like, as the highest. So New York City is barely getting any snow out of this because it's showing mostly rain on this forecast model. And then more upstate where the colder air is, maybe up to a foot of snow. Now let's go to the NAMs and switch these over to the total positive snow depth. Very interesting. So it's still showing some snow going into the New York City area and around it, but that's more like a 1 to 3 inch. Yeah, it looks like more 1 to 3 inches around here. Then the gradient goes up pretty fast up to here, and then the green there, it doesn't actually say it, but the green is at the 12-inch mark on the legend. So this is saying up to maybe a foot of snow. Again, not the 10 to 20 inches, or up to 20 inches that the National Weather Service is saying, but it's within that range of 10 to 20. So that's a possibility there. And this is, again, where all the models are just not consistent. And now let's see what the 3-kilometer NAM is going to say. Total positive snow depth change. This one actually feels a little bit more believable from my own expectations here. So New York City, again, very, very high pressure gradient. Not high pressure gradient, I mean there is, but the gradient between very little snow and high snow is a lot here. So New York City is in the 1 to 3 inch kind of range right in there. Then very quickly just going into the Hudson Valley there, we're in the pinks, which is 6 inches of snow. The highest it's showing is 10, and the 10s are kind of right in here. So this is showing maybe 6 to 10 inches, which is also what the National Weather Service is saying for the winter storm watch in most of the Hudson Valley, which is kind of what I'm going to think. 6 to 10 inches with some pockets 10 plus inches. So when I make my snow map, I'm probably going to do 6 to 10 for this area. Very high gradient here. So going into the city, maybe 1 to 3 and then 3 to 6. And then very quickly again, 6 to 10. And then I'm probably just going to say like 10 plus there. Because there could be some of that weird geographic effects that make the snow totals go down. But also, this is a slightly different type of system coming through, and it's a long-lasting system versus the quick system that we were talking about before. All right. So, one last one here, which was the HRRR. Total positive snow depth change. And this is kind of in line with the 3-kilometer NAM, it's looking like. It's just a little bit less around the New York City area. So again, right there, no snow it's showing. Then you get into the Hudson Valley, we're starting to get into the pinks, which is the 6 inch, 6 to 10. Fairly consistent there. Then in the greens, we're starting to show like a 13 and a 14 going up to the higher end. Very tight right in there. It's showing that transition from about the greens to the like bluish again, which is 24 inches. So this is where I would probably say, because I don't think it's going to get that high. Again, I would probably say 1 to 3 going into 3 to 6, and then very quickly 6 to 10 in here, and then just north 10 plus. Just because it's so inconsistent that I'm just not sure. All right, so with that wraps up this video. It is, oh wow, a 25-minute video. I do apologize it was fairly long. However, I felt like it was necessary to get all that information out to you. I will be having some weather shorts, kind of just consolidating and making everything within 60 seconds for anybody that just wants a quick bit of information there. But overall, that wraps up this video. So please stay safe. I'm going to try and get another video out tomorrow before the system actually makes its way through. Tuesday, I'm going to try and get my regular Games and Storms live stream, or now I've rebranded it to the Gaming Forecast. All right, so have a great rest of your night. Definitely prepare tonight and through the day tomorrow for this. this is going to be intense where there could be power outages. So be prepared for a day or two, potentially, of no power. Make sure you have your devices charged, batteries charged, flashlights, a supply of water and food and stuff like that. All right. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. This is meteorologist Andrew Pinero. I will see you all in that next video.